Lucas Lawmans here at Kiwi Voice. We are sitting with Ruth Copeland, the founder and co-creator of the Resonance app that we chucked the explainer up for a few days ago. Really having a good time with it. It's an awesome piece of software, and we're going to talk in a bit more detail about what it's all about, including the community. So thanks for joining us, Ruth. It's awesome to have you on board.
Oh, it's really great, Lucas. Thanks for having us on here tonight.
Yeah, awesome. No worries at all. Hey, so thanks everyone for tuning in. We've got a couple of people on. We will give it another sort of 10 seconds or so, but we'll dive into it. And usual Kiwi Voice style, this will remain up on the page for people to watch. We'll keep it there permanently. So let's get into it, Ruth. What is your background? Before we get into the actual Resonance app itself, what about you, Ruth Copeland? What's your background and led you into this thing?
Oh, fantastic. Well, listen, so just to clarify, I'm one of the co-founders of the Resonance app. There's actually three of us, so I'm sort of a bit of a mouthpiece for these kind of live interviews. I'm very grateful for the opportunity. But yeah, so myself, where do I begin? I'm a communications person. I'm actually a graphic designer by trade. Also very much an international person. I lived in the Netherlands for about 13 years in Amsterdam.
That's my heritage.
Yeah, really? Are you straight back to the Netherlands done?
I haven't actually gotten back there, but my grandparents are from there. They came over during the war, so I'm technically 50%. Yep.
That's right. Many people did. Yeah. So it was a fantastic time, actually. Sort of grew up there from age, I was about 24 when I arrived and 38 when I left. So it was a big chunk of my sort of adult growing life. And I had a little business over there, Divine Design, where I worked in graphic design and also communications. So it was a really great opportunity. But I sort of... I feel that sort of added really to who I am in terms of giving me that international perspective, if you like, and in a different way of looking at things. You'll understand yourself, Lucas, being Dutch. They're pretty pragmatic and a bit of a different mindset than us Kiwis over here.
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. Prior to that, I had an unusual father. In fact, he was a property developer, quite a wealthy guy, 5 kids. He made his money in building big property developments, and then he got to about 45 and decided that he wanted to give back. And so he spent the rest of his life working on a microeconomic model to provide housing, employment, and training and all sort of life skills. And he called it Social Enterprises New Zealand. So that was 35 years ago. It was an interesting, he was a real trailblazer really in his area.
Sounds like it.
He got a lot of interest from various political leaders and, leaders of society around the country. So I guess, that sort of made me shape my thinking in a sense. So when I got to the Netherlands and saw how they ran their society over there, including lots of schemes and ways of approaching business and arts and culture in a similar way, it was really interesting. And it sort of added to that sort of well-rounded worldview. And then came back to New Zealand here, 2002, had my beautiful one son, and got busy doing events in Nelson. And we did lots of great parties, including the celebration of the city, 2005. That was a huge glittering event with all the who's who there. And then I found myself on the Nelson City Council. So I was there for 2 terms as a sitting councillor. And again, a wonderful experience in governance, just looking at the machinations of how decisions were made and really understanding a bit more about human nature when they get the levers of power. And
yes, I was going to say, so you enjoyed your time in council?
I did. It was absolutely eye-opening. Yeah, it was very interesting. A couple of terms talking about round and round infrastructure problems and projects did become a little tiresome, but it was the fascination of the process itself. And as I said, the way that people, and for myself as well, how to not be attached to the outcomes of things, but keep working towards your goals and putting the right steps in place, but keeping your integrity, I think, is the common issue.
Well, that's key. That's key.
When you get into those power political positions. So we all know that, don't we? Just looking at the political landscape at the moment, a lot of the decisions being made and things being spoken of are party lines, and there's lots of other reasons for what's on the table than what we can see. So it was an interesting experience. Then moved to Wellington in 2018 and ended up in a economic think tank, in fact, doing their communications and a bit of strategy as well. And that was very interesting, again, just sort of giving me a little bit more hands-on understanding of communications. And it was fascinating down there at Parliament because, of course, being Wellington-based, we spent a lot of time down there. And watching what happened during the day and then going home and watching it on the news. It was quite
Right.
enlightening.
Or the,
And
the multiple different angles you
oh,
could get. You could
yeah,
get the reality of the live stream, or you could get the
yeah,
mainstream media one angle. Or
it was really interesting. It was somewhat disappointing. You could have said disillusioning, but good to be, good to see.
Mhm.
Better than you
Experience.
don't know. Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
So anyway, that's a bit of the background about me. Absolutely. So is that?
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Now that's really cool to hear. So. Resonance, for people that are sort of just jumping on out of interest, it's a really user intuitive, really easy to use app that connects you with products and services within a distance of your location with freedom-minded individuals, open-minded individuals. So why would you start something like that, Ruth? What motivated you to get involved, I should say? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, good shot. Perfect.
Resonance app, you can see it's just got a whole lot of different categories, like a big phone book, and we can have a little look at that later maybe. But yeah, so why did we get involved? Well, because quite a few people, yourself included, quite possibly found themselves in a difficult position at the end of last year. It was quite alarming for many people, and I sort of set about connecting people and having parties here at my home, or dinner parties, getting people together so people weren't so isolated. And I live very close to a beach here in Wellington, so we were down at the beach one night, one full moon, around the fire there, and we saw or figured out pretty quickly that we're all on the same page. So I went to get a phone number of this young fella before I left, and he said, I wish we had an app or something. We need an app, a way to connect each other. And that was really the spark that led us to begin Resonance. But there is a tiny bit of an interesting story behind that as well.
Sure.
Myself and my ex-husband came to Wellington 2018, as I said, and he wanted to start an app called the Wellington app. It was sort of a bit of a franchise. There's a few of them around the country as something to do in Wellington. So I agreed to join him in that mission, although it didn't particularly inspire me. It was a cool thing. It was a news and business listing service for Wellington. And so we got busy with that. And I told him at the time, and I always kind of knew that this would be useful one day for networking. So I thought, look, I'm going to do it because I want to learn the IT and I want to learn, how it works, a really useful tool, and we are going to need it in the future. So when this fellow said this to me, I was like, okay, that's the moment. So the rest is history, really. It was kind of a knowledge thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I can understand those feelings that you get at those times of something just goes, in terms of an idea. So what's the uptake been like? Okay, let's take it back a step. When did it release? And what's the uptake been like since release?
Well, we had hoped to get it released down at Parliament there, so we sort of went hell for leather.
That'd be ideal,
last couple of weeks, because one of our issues is, of course, that we are volunteers. So Resonance is a not-for-profit. There's no subscription or anything like that, for it's completely free. And we don't completely know how we're going to monetize this, for want of a better word, going forward. But we knew it had to happen, so we really tried to get it done by then. But luckily we didn't, in a way. It did take some time to iron out some of the IT kinks.
Yeah, sure.
So by the 1st of April, we had a bit of a launch party. We thought it was a good date. And so it's been going since then. And we're networking it primarily through interviews like this, Lucas, and face-to-face. We've been making lots of phone calls. Obviously, we've started a social media presence. Who we're trying to connect with are people that have established networks. So if anybody out there listening has any ideas like that, please put them in the comments and we'll collect them and follow those up. But it's very much person-to-person relationship-wise. But to answer your first question about what the uptake's like, well, we've got to a sort of a steady cadence now. And so like overnight, last night, we had 100 downloads and about 20 listings, which is fantastic because it sort of just keeps on going. There was some good activity on the weekend. So, for instance, it took us ages to get to 1,000 downloads and then just a couple of weeks to get to 3,000 downloads. Yeah. And the listings in the same vein, it took us ages to get 50 listings in there. And then suddenly we've got more than 300 listings in there. Again, they're coming in about 10 a day coming in.
Awesome.
It is great. And the IT behind the app is quite basic. So when you submit your listing on the app, you just hit the thing saying create listing, you fill in a form and hit submit. We actually receive that content and curate it, obviously, because it's a very select market. We call it self-selecting, in fact, the Resonance team. So we just want to make sure that we have a good check over all the listings going in there. So we actually put them up with CSV files, sort of handwork almost. So we
Hmm.
couldn't handle 1,000 listings a day,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
not at the moment. But it's our
But
intention.
ideally, you'd like to get to that point.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
As you know, it is a self-selecting network, resonance network. It's the people that this resonates with, obviously, and it really is basically those of us, and you know how many there are in New Zealand, who have a little bit of an alternative view of the narrative.
Yep,
And,
absolutely.
and we are all connected, by 1 or 2 degrees. So
Yes.
we're really hopeful that once people start using it effectively and trading with it, that they'll tell everybody about it. And
Yeah, for sure. Look, it's a brilliant idea, and in my sort of time that I've spent with the app, it felt like there was more. There was quite a sort of wide range of listings. The fact that you've got all these different categories. And within those different categories, there seemed to be something of interest. I mean, obviously, there's some of them were a decent distance away from me, but within the South Island, etc., as well. That's really going to cater to pretty much something for everyone, and doing it from that community aspect
yes,
is a really positive feeling. I felt that straight away as soon as I went into it. It didn't feel commercial. It felt community. So yeah, it's a really cool place, and I'm surprised that it's not bigger already. But there's no doubt about it, as you're saying, in terms of the numbers coming through. Hopefully, that will continue on down that path. So, what's your ultimate goal with the app? Do you want to just get it as big as possible, or
we want it to be really useful. So the way it functions, Lucas, is it's like I said before, it's like a big phone book. Where's the camera? There it is.
Yep, there we go. Yep.
Like a big phone book, and it's got all these different categories in it. And within the categories, it's got listings, and they're all based on how far away they are from me. In this case, from the user. So you click on a listing, you go to a listing, and then in that listing, you can actually just call the person straight up. So I'll hit the call button. Oopsie, is that saying call? Yep. And then I can just call them directly, or I can email them, or I can actually see where they're located. And so what we're hoping is that people actually use this app to make those personal connections, because it is about person to person, and so, for instance, I'll just go through some of the categories on here. So, obviously health is a big area, and health and wellness
massive.
is something that people jumped into straight away. We've got lots of holistic health, body work, different therapies, different coaching. We've got the green fairies on there, and COVID support as well for people that have come unstuck with, the process with that. We've got a connect button. So in connect, we've got lots of different communities that are connecting through the Resonance app.
Got you. Yep.
We've got find a friend and romance in there as well. So
fantastic.
Yeah, because those of us looking for love, we want people on the same page.
Yeah, for sure.
It's really important, in fact. So you can actually put up a listing in here. Anybody can, and find somebody completely on the same page. We've got produce there, so that's all your markets and fruit and veg and meat and poultry. And we've also got a fresh now button. So for instance, if you've got a crop and you've got too many walnuts or what have you, you can put them up in the Resonance app.
Oh, awesome.
It's just really quite simple. We've got a big spiritual.
Which is one that I had a crack at that first, going through and seeing what classes etc. are around me, which is a really cool idea.
Land share or land and living is great. We've got people that have got land available, and then we've got people looking for land to go and live on that land. Because
right.
A lot of people are clustering up at the moment, so that's a really handy thing. And then of course within there we've got farm and garden, so things around permaculture and seed saving and that kind of thing.
Absolutely. Are you getting so do you get analytics from what's happening within the app, so you know where to sort of target things and adjust things? Yep,
we do. It's getting pretty broad use. We've got events in there as well, of course. So these are pro-choice events or freedom events or people that are doing. It's a community in a sense, isn't it? Really, And I don't know what else to say about that, except it is quite self-selecting, and those of us that are drawn to this platform are aware, I guess, that things are going to change quite dramatically over the coming couple of years, very dramatically. So I guess that, to sum it up, really, that was our motivation, to get everybody connected and trading with each other. directly in their various communities of interest, and so that
Yep.
they know within their area who is on the same page as them. And
Yes.
that way we've also got new politics and new economy. So, we've got, thinking coming through the app. We've got common law assistance as well. And we're working with those people a bit more closely at the moment to fill that category with useful assembly information and that kind of thing.
Sure. So if there's community meetings and events that people can go to learn about a particular type of, obviously the Voices for Freedom do their particular community meetings, etc. Freedom Rights Coalition have had their political meetings, etc. as well. Is that the kind of thing that people could sort of link up with within the app as well?
Absolutely. Yeah, we're talking to those organisations as well. It's taking a wee bit of time to get traction, as you'd understand. Voices for Freedom is a big organisation throughout the country.
It's a bit of a beast now, yep.
It's a bit of a beast, but we've got good connections and good relationships starting to develop there as well. So that's
awesome.
This thing's run by a database, of course. So, it sort of makes sense if you're doing a business database in your local area, or if you're doing a food security database, that you use the Resonance app, because it's already got everything in it. So it is all the back end is just one large database, really.
Sure. Yeah, look, I did find it really easy to navigate in terms of when you're going into listings, and as you were demonstrating before, just being able to hit call, email, whatever it might be, whatever option you've got to be able to communicate with people. It's really intuitive. It's really easy. Just have to hit a couple of buttons. And away we go. So, hey, look, where do people get hold of the app? Is it available on both the main stores? What's the go?
Sure. You've got both the main stores there for iPhone and Android as well. And our website's www.resonance.kiwi. You might find it easier to put up your listing on the website, to work from the laptop rather than from the phone. It's up
so you can do that easy enough? Yep.
You can do them. You can add a listing in every category on every page inside the app. But you can also add a listing on our website. So either or. The app itself is just for your phone at the moment, so it's not a web app. It's just for your phone. If in case of emergency the internet did go down, Resonance app would still be on your phone, and all those people would still be on your phone, which is kind of exciting. Yeah, it is. It's cool. And so, what we want people to do is just to download the app and have a good look around and start thinking with us as to how you could use it. Like, people have put stuff in there, for instance, not a business listing, but perhaps looking to form a men's group in Wellington is one of the listings there. Or in the arts section, we've got bands and DJs. Or you might have, like I said before, you might be looking for romance. You might put something like that in. I put a room in my house. We've got an accommodation section, which has got Stay With Me. So that's for those of us in the Resonance community who would like to meet other like-minded people. And that's really been interesting because I've told a little story before about a guy that came and stayed with me, a Hare Krishna guy that was very down after being involved here in Wellington and getting a lot of flack from his local temple. So he found me through the app, came and stayed with me, had a very uplifting experience. We spoke a lot about, the excitement as well of the future, as well as the trepidation that we all feel, don't we? We all know there's going to be huge opportunities coming through, but there's some difficult stuff as well to navigate. So again, it's that collectivizing, it's connecting the collective and bringing us all into resonance with each other so we can connect and uphold and encourage each other. And before I forget, my God, I forgot, we have a bulletin on the Resonance app, and that's one of its most interesting features, and I forgot to mention that. So
get into it. Yeah.
The bulletin here is one of the buttons. In fact, it's the first button. And what's on there is all kind of uplifting podcasts and articles.
Awesome.
So it's all about eyes off the old, what's crumbling and collapsing, and what are we going to do about it? How are we going to reform our society? What amazing initiatives are out there at the moment? Who's at the forefront of experimentation in terms of new living systems? Things really relevant to New Zealand, but also international movements, which are really uplifting. So the intention behind Resonance is to uplift, in fact, is to uplift and encourage and to solidify the Resonance community so that we have some safety navigating some troubled waters ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I totally hear what you're saying. So, I mean, to clarify, when people download the Resonance app and get amongst it, they're not going to be asked for their credit card details straight away. They're not going to be, or ever.
There's no login even. There's nothing.
Yes.
It's just
Yeah,
confirmed.
exactly. I guess that, for people that are watching, and we have got we did get a bit of a crowd on there. We got well over 30 people watching, which has been really
Great.
nice.
That's so great.
That there's not, you're not clipping the ticket on every listener that comes through. It's not a trade me. It's,
No.
and that's very, very much the community feel
Yep.
that you get. Look, I'll be honest to everyone out there that watching this now and will watch it later, is that when Ruth initially contacted me, I was like, man, it's another advertising thing, whatever. And then a couple of well-worded, friendly messages later, and I actually clicked on the bloody thing, and instantly I was like, right, okay, right, I get it. So it's a whole different thing. It is beneficial, even just straight off at these early stages. As an early adopter, I'm 100% behind you, Ruth. I think you're doing it's. I think it's fantastic. It's a great place to be online. For multiple reasons. The very fact that you can buy stuff, you can buy organic food, you can find out what's closest to you, but as well you can find those other community events. You can get amongst your local yoga class, or meditation, group meditation, any of that stuff.
And the coolest thing is that all of those people on there are in resonance with you on a certain level. Yes. That is the selling point. That is the unique point, is that we're in this together, and we don't go with the narrative, and we do understand things are very different than the way they're presented. And in mainstream society, you know how hard it is. We all go out there in the world and everyone's all masked up, and you end up feeling like a weirdo if you aren't in a collective or with a group of friends or a group of people that are on the same page as you. So with the Resonance app, everybody in there is on the same page as you to begin with, and that's the exciting thing about it. That's really what it's all about. Just before we close, I wanted to give a shout out to my two co-founders. So I work with Ewan and Marnie. They're both young people. They're a young couple, and they have been absolutely awesome, stellar co-workers. We meet every morning and go over the tasks for the day, and a lot of the stuff is new, and we're just putting our shoulder to the wheel day after day and holding the vision for what we want this thing to be. Ewan has personally funded the app himself to the tune of $20,000+.
Go Ewan.
Yeah, young guy.
Yep.
And we're working voluntarily. So there's no income whatsoever from the Resonance app at the moment. So we do have a Give a Little page, and on our website you can find also a crypto wallet. If you do feel inspired to give us a wee donation, we'd be very, very grateful. Long term, what we hope is as people start trading with the Resonance app, that they'll flick us a koha.
Yes.
If they make a trade and they make a $50 sale or whatever, they flick us $5, and we'll start communicating about that as time goes on. So awesome. Our priority at the moment is to get people on the app, but people listing on the app, because the app is not any use to anybody unless it's got lots of listings in there.
100%, and you're exactly right in terms of, in these times, being around like-minded people, spiritually, mentally, physically. I always tell the story, and I'll tell it again. It's probably about the 5th or 6th time I've told it on Kiwi Voice, and when it was last year, October, I think it was, feeling lost like a lot of people, and I went along to the First Freedom and Rights Coalition march at Kremna Square, and there was 7,000 or 8,000 people there. And the moment I walked onto Kremna Square, I was like, this is my people. The reason that I tell that story again is, that's what you're going to get in an online sense. As much as you enjoy your time in these different groups in Kiwi Voice, I would hope you enjoy your time there as well. Resonance gives you that same sort of vibe when you jump on. It's your people. It's it's the community that you want to be involved in. So, hey, look, we'll chuck a link to the website on this post once we've posted it. Soon after we're finished, get amongst it on the App Store and the Apple Play. So I've got it around the wrong way. Android Play Store and the Apple iTunes Store. Get that down onto your mobile device and get amongst it. It's been awesome talking to you, Ruth. Really appreciate your time.
You're very welcome, Lucas. Look out for the logo. There we go, the love heart. You can't miss it.
Awesome. You've got it. That's a simple and well put together logo. I like it.
Yeah, we do talk about 10 minutes. We say Resonance is for heart-centered Kiwis to find other like-minded people, businesses, services, and customers without the middleman.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect. Absolutely. Perfect way to end it. Have
Sums
an
it up.
awesome evening, people. Stay safe, stay free. We'll get those links up another 10 minutes or so after this is finished. And we'll see you again real soon.
Thanks so much. Thank you so much, Lucas. Ciao. Bye.